Most celebrities buy cars, mansions, maybe even private islands. But Michael Jackson? He tried to buy the skeleton of the Elephant Man, a comic book empire, and even an entire country.
Well, he's great, Michael. I mean, he's a great fella. I mean, I don't know if you've met him and stuff. He sort of say, Mike, look, plugging you, see? You need it. But he's a nice fella, you know. He's a good fella to be around, and he's talented. Yeah. And so, what more do you want?
To the world, it sounded insane. But to Michael, it all made sense. These weren't just expensive purchases. They were symbols, messages, pieces of a bigger story the world never fully understood. From Marvel superheroes to ancient Egyptian relics, what MJ tried to buy reveals more than just his wealth. It exposes his obsession with legacy, identity, and escaping the very world that made him a legend. So buckle up, because this isn't just a list of strange purchases. This is a look inside the brilliant, mysterious mind of the King of Pop. The Elephant Man's bones. In the 1980s, news broke that Michael Jackson had offered $500,000 to buy the remains of Joseph Merrick, better known as the Elephant Man. The media exploded. Tabloids labeled him a freak. Headlines screamed, "Wacko Jacko wants bones!" And just like that, the rumors took on a life of their own. But what no one stopped to ask was why. Joseph Merrick wasn't just a medical oddity. He was a man tormented for the way he looked, put on display, mocked, and treated like a monster. Michael connected with that. Behind the fame, MJ felt the same isolation, the same judgment. He once said he saw himself in Merrick. Both were misunderstood, both were turned into spectacles. The deal never went through. The hospital refused to sell the remains, but the damage was done. From that moment on, the public began painting Michael as strange, even though all he wanted was understanding. And if you think that's bizarre, his next move would take things from emotional to unbelievable. Marvel Comics. What if Michael Jackson had bought Marvel? That almost happened. In the late 1990s, MJ wasn't just thinking about music. He had his eyes on a different kind of empire. Marvel Comics was struggling at the time, and Michael saw an opportunity. He wanted to buy the entire company. Why? Because he dreamed of playing Spider-Man. Seriously, he loved the character so much, he was willing to buy Marvel just to make that dream a reality. He even met with Stan Lee and reportedly spoke with lawyers and investors to explore the purchase. And Stan later confirmed, yes, MJ was serious. It sounds wild, but it makes sense when you think about it. Michael saw himself in Peter Parker, a misunderstood figure with incredible power who lived under constant pressure. The deal never closed. Marvel eventually turned things around and was later bought by Disney. But imagine the alternate timeline. Michael Jackson as Spider-Man, swinging across movie screens before the Marvel Cinematic Universe ever existed. And when buying Marvel didn't work out, Michael took the fantasy into his own hands, with something even bigger. A Marvel-themed amusement park. If Michael Jackson couldn't buy Marvel, he'd build his own version of it. After the Marvel deal fell through, MJ reportedly came up with a bold plan, an amusement park inspired by Marvel superheroes. Not just rides, not just characters. He wanted to create an entire universe where music, fantasy, and comic book magic came together. Some say the park was going to be part of Neverland. Others believe he was scouting new land entirely to build it from the ground up. Rumors even suggest he reached out to engineers and designers to develop the concept. He imagined a place where kids could escape reality, just like he always wanted to. Where Spider-Man swung through the skies, Iron Man lit up the night, and MJ's music played in every corner. Was it a fantasy? Maybe, but Michael Jackson didn't think small. He thought in worlds, in experiences, in dreams. The Marvel Park never happened, but it showed the kind of vision he had, the kind that didn't fit inside charts, labels, or headlines. And if you thought he was done building dreams, just wait until you see what he actually invented. The anti-gravity patent. Michael Jackson didn't just dream big, he turned dreams into reality. Literally. In 1992, MJ was granted a US patent for something no other pop star had ever done. A shoe that made it look like he was defying gravity. You've seen it in Smooth Criminal, that iconic lean where he bends forward at an impossible angle. Most thought it was just a trick of the stage, but the truth? It was science. MJ's patented shoes had special slots in the heels. On stage, pegs would rise from the floor and lock into place, anchoring him down just long enough to pull off the move. It wasn't CGI, it wasn't camera tricks, it was innovation, pure and simple. This was more than a dance move. It was a symbol of how far he'd go to create magic no one had ever seen before. He didn't just want to impress people, he wanted to make them believe the impossible was real. And just when you think his ideas couldn't get any wilder, Michael set his sights on something much, much bigger. Buying a country in Africa. Yes, you heard that right. There was a time when Michael Jackson reportedly looked into buying land in Africa, maybe even an entire country. And it wasn't just a rumor. In the early 1990s, MJ visited several African nations, including the Ivory Coast, where tribal leaders crowned him a ceremonial king. They called him King Michael. He wore traditional robes and was even given land as an honorary gesture. But behind the ceremony was a deeper plan. Michael was exploring the idea of creating a new kind of sanctuary, a place away from the cameras, the lawsuits, the media pressure. Some say he wanted to build a creative paradise, a utopia for children, artists, dreamers. Others believed he was searching for peace, trying to reconnect with his roots and escape the world that had never let him rest. No official country was ever bought, but the ambition was real. Michael Jackson didn't just want to own land, he wanted to build a world that finally felt like home. And if you thought that was strange, what he did next had people questioning if he was chasing immortality itself. The oxygen chamber. In the late 1980s, a photo leaked that sent the media into a frenzy. Michael Jackson was lying inside what looked like a futuristic pod, a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Rumors exploded. MJ sleeps in a space capsule to live forever. He's trying to stop aging! He wants to live to 150! And the world believed it. The truth? Yes, the photo was real. And yes, Michael did own a hyperbaric chamber. But he later admitted the photo was staged, on purpose. He wanted to feed the mystery, create buzz, and keep people talking. But here's what most people missed. Michael was obsessed with health. He hated getting sick. He feared aging. He believed in alternative therapies and cutting-edge treatments years before they became mainstream. To the world, it looked bizarre. To him, it was survival. The oxygen chamber was just another example of how far MJ would go to protect his body, and maybe even escape time itself. But his next obsession would take him far beyond science, into the past. Egyptian artifacts and the Sphinx. While most people collected watches or cars, Michael Jackson was busy collecting history. Over the years, he spent millions on ancient Egyptian artifacts, statues, relics, and museum-level pieces. His homes, especially Neverland, were filled with towering pharaoh sculptures, golden sarcophagi, and hieroglyphic designs. It looked less like a mansion and more like a lost royal temple. Why Egypt? Michael was fascinated by the idea of legacy, of leaving something behind that would last forever. He saw ancient pharaohs as immortal, timeless, worshipped long after they were gone. Some even say he believed he was royalty in a past life. At one point, rumors swirled that he tried to buy the full-size Sphinx replica in Las Vegas. Was it true? No one knows for sure. But given the things he did try to buy, it wouldn't be surprising. For Michael, Egyptian culture represented power, mystery, and eternal life. And in a world that constantly tried to break him down, this was his way of building himself up, piece by piece. But MJ's most legendary purchase wasn't ancient. It was modern, musical, and it shook the entire industry. Buying the Beatles catalog. In 1985, Michael Jackson made a move that stunned the entire music world. He bought the ATV Music Publishing catalog for $47.5 million. That wasn't just any catalog. It included the rights to most of the Beatles' greatest songs. Hey Jude, Let It Be, Yesterday, all under Michael's control. The wild part? Paul McCartney had once told MJ about the value of owning music publishing. Michael listened. Then he outbid Paul for the very rights to his own songs. Fans were shocked. The media was brutal. Some said it was betrayal. Others called it genius. And financially, it was one of the smartest deals in entertainment history. MJ later merged the catalog with Sony, creating a powerhouse worth over $1 billion. This wasn't just a purchase, it was a message. Michael wasn't just a performer, he was a businessman, a strategist, a king who knew how to play the long game. And while people mocked his spending habits and called him eccentric, moves like this proved he was always 10 steps ahead. To most people, these stories sound bizarre. Who tries to buy a skeleton? A comic book empire? An entire country? But Michael Jackson wasn't most people. He lived in a world that never truly understood him, so he tried to build one that did. Each purchase, each rumor, each headline wasn't just about money, It was about meaning, about control, legacy, imagination, and maybe even survival. Whether it was the Elephant Man's bones or the Beatles' catalog, MJ wasn't chasing material things. He was chasing identity, power, immortality. To the public, he was eccentric. But to those who really paid attention, he was a visionary, a man who dreamed louder than anyone else on Earth. And maybe, just maybe, that's what made him so hard to understand. So now we ask you, was Michael Jackson simply strange, or was he seeing something the rest of the world wasn't ready for? Let us know what you think in the comments.